Hey guys, what's up? It's your girl Horror back with another video. Today we're diving deep into the dark side of reality with 5 true horror stories that will chill you to your core. These aren't your average campfire tales, these are real events that defy explanation, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and a lingering sense of dread. From the chilling heights of the Ural Mountains to the seemingly peaceful suburbs of America, these stories will take you on a journey into the heart of darkness. So if you're brave enough to face the unknown, grab your blankie, turn off the lights, and prepare to be terrified. Let's do it. Picture this. It's February 1959, the dead of winter in the Ural Mountains of Russia. A group of 9 experienced hikers led by Igor Dyatlov set out on an adventure into the unforgiving wilderness. But something goes terribly wrong. Weeks go by, and the hikers are nowhere to be found. Search parties are sent out, desperate to find any trace of the missing group. The hiker's tent is discovered, ripped open from the inside, as if something forced its way out. The hiker's belongings, including food and warm clothing, are left scattered in the snow, suggesting they fled in a hurry. The bodies of the hikers are discovered, scattered across the mountainside, each more bizarre and disturbing than the last. Some are found barefoot, some partially dressed, and others with horrific injuries like broken bones and internal damage, but with no external signs of trauma. One hiker, Lyudmila Dubinina, is found with her tongue and eyes missing. Another, Yuri Krivonyshenko, has his skin a strange deep orange color. The Dyatlov Pass incident remains one of the most enduring mysteries of the 20th century, a chilling reminder that there are some things in this world that we may never fully understand. Imagine a secluded farmhouse, far removed from the hustle and bustle of city life, nestled deep in the Bavarian countryside, surrounded by rolling hills and dense forests. This is Hinterkaifeck, a place where time seemed to stand still, where the days were marked by the rhythm of farm life. But on a cold March evening in 1922, the tranquility of this isolated farmstead was shattered by an act of unimaginable violence, an event that would forever stain its history. The Gruber family, consisting of Andreas and Kazilia Gruber, the elderly heads of the household, their 2 adult children, Victoria and Kazilia Jr., who helped with the daily chores and upkeep of the farm, and their 2 young grandchildren, Joseph and Maria, who brought joy and laughter to the household, lived a simple life on their farm, working the land and caring for their animals. But on that fateful night, their world was turned upside down when an unknown assailant, armed with a pickaxe, entered the barn and brutally murdered the family, one by one, in a horrifying sequence of events. The killer then entered the house, where they continued their gruesome work, taking the lives of the remaining family members as they slept, leaving no one behind. The youngest victim, 2-year-old Joseph, was found lying next to his murdered grandmother, a heart-wrenching scene that underscored the brutality of the crime. What makes this case even more chilling is the evidence that suggests the killer remained at the farm for several days after the murders, living among the dead. They tended to the livestock, ate the family's food, and went about their daily routine as if nothing had happened, even sleeping in the beds of their victims, a macabre detail that adds to the horror of the event. The investigation into the Hinterkaifeck murders was extensive, involving numerous detectives and experts, but despite numerous suspects and countless theories, the case remains unsolved to this day. The motive behind the killings is unclear, and the identity of the perpetrator remains a haunting mystery, leaving behind a legacy of fear and speculation. The Hinterkaifeck murders stand as a stark reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the shadows, even in the most idyllic of settings, a chilling testament to the unknown horrors that can exist in our world. Chapter 3: The Villisca Axe Murders. Let's journey back to the heartland of America, to the small town of Villisca, Iowa. It was a sweltering summer night in June 1912 when the Moore family, along with 2 young guests, were brutally murdered in their own home. An unknown intruder, shrouded in darkness, crept into the Moore residence, armed with a deadly weapon. The victims, Josiah and Sarah Moore, their 4 young children, Herman, Catherine, Boyd, and Paul, along with 2 young sisters, Lena and Ina Stillinger, never stood a chance. They were found the next morning by a neighbor, their lifeless bodies sprawled throughout the house. The murder weapon, an axe belonging to Josiah Moore, was found leaning against the wall in the downstairs guest room. Despite numerous suspects and countless theories, the case remains unsolved to this day. The house itself, still standing at 508 East 2nd Street in Villisca, has become a macabre tourist attraction. The Villisca Axe Murders remain one of America's most haunting, unsolved mysteries, a chilling reminder of the fragility of life and the darkness that can lurk even in the most unassuming of places. Chapter 4. The Enfield Poltergeist. Now let's travel across the pond to the North London suburb of Enfield, a seemingly ordinary place that would soon become the epicenter of one of the most famous and terrifying paranormal cases in history. It was the summer of 1977 when the Hodgson family began to experience a series of unexplained events that would soon escalate into a living nightmare. The family, consisting of a single mother and her 4 children, had no idea what was in store for them. It started subtly strange noises in the night, like faint knocking and scratching sounds that seemed to come from the walls and floors. Then, objects began to move on their own, furniture inexplicably overturning and items flying across rooms as if thrown by an unseen force. But it wasn't long before the activity intensified, becoming more aggressive and threatening. The family was now living in constant fear, unsure of what would happen next. 11-year-old Janet, the youngest daughter, seemed to be at the center of the paranormal maelstrom. She was often the target of the most terrifying incidents. She would be thrown from her bed, levitated in the air, and even found herself in different rooms without any memory of how she got there. Janet would also speak in a deep, guttural voice that was not her own, uttering disturbing phrases and messages that chilled everyone who heard them. The Enfield Poltergeist case attracted widespread media attention, with newspapers and television crews eager to capture the bizarre happenings. Reporters and paranormal investigators flocked to the house on Green Street hoping to witness the phenomena firsthand and provide explanations. Among them were Maurice Grosse and Guy Lyon Playfair, 2 dedicated members of the Society for Psychical Research, who spent over a year investigating the Hodgson family's claims, meticulously documenting every occurrence. Grosse and Playfair conducted numerous interviews with the family, set up recording equipment, and even stayed in the house overnight to observe the activity. They witnessed countless instances of poltergeist activity, documenting everything from object movement and levitation to disembodied voices and eerie sounds. The investigators captured recordings of these voices which seemed to come from nowhere, adding to the mounting evidence of the haunting. There were even reports of physical assaults on the family members, with bruises and scratches appearing mysteriously. Despite the overwhelming evidence, the Enfield Poltergeist case remains controversial to this day. Skeptics argue that the events were exaggerated or fabricated, while believers point to the extensive documentation as proof. The Enfield Poltergeist case serves as a chilling reminder that there are forces at work in this world that we may never fully understand, leaving us to wonder about the true nature of the paranormal. Chapter 5. The Amityville Horror. Our final stop on this terrifying tour of true horror stories takes us to the quiet suburban town of Amityville, New York. This seemingly peaceful community, with its tree-lined streets and friendly neighbors, would become infamous for one of the most chilling and controversial hauntings in American history. It was in the early morning hours of November 13, 1974, when a horrific crime shattered the peace of this quiet community, leaving 6 members of the DeFeo family dead in their beds. The brutal nature of the crime sent shockwaves through the town and the nation. 23-year-old Ronald DeFeo Jr., the eldest son, had used a .35 caliber rifle to systematically murder his parents, 2 brothers, and 2 sisters as they slept. The motive behind this gruesome act remains a topic of speculation and debate to this day. A little over a year later, in December 1975, the Lutz family moved into the house at 112 Ocean Avenue, unaware of the horrors that had transpired within its walls. They were looking forward to starting a new chapter in their lives, but what awaited them was beyond their worst nightmares. But their dreams soon turned into nightmares as they began to experience a series of increasingly disturbing and terrifying events. The once cozy home became a place of dread and fear, with each day bringing new horrors. There were unexplained odors, cold spots, and objects moving on their own. The Lutz family found themselves living in a house that seemed to have a life of its own, with malevolent forces at play. Kathy Lutz claimed to have felt an unseen presence watching her, and the children reported seeing a demonic figure with glowing red eyes. These terrifying encounters left the family in a constant state of fear and anxiety. The Lutz family's experiences culminated in a terrifying night when George Lutz claimed to have woken up to find his wife levitating above their bed. This was the final straw for the family, who could no longer endure the torment. Terrified and desperate, the Lutz family fled their home after only 28 days. They left behind all their belongings, unable to face another night in the house that had become a living nightmare. The Amityville Horror became a media sensation, spawning books, documentaries, and a series of horror films. The story captured the public's imagination and became a cultural phenomenon. The Amityville Horror remains one of the most enduring and unsettling paranormal cases in history, a chilling reminder that some houses harbor dark secrets that may never be fully explained. The legacy of the Amityville Horror continues to intrigue and terrify, leaving us to wonder about the true nature of the events that transpired within those walls. So there you have it, guys. 5 terrifying true horror stories that will keep you up at night. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell for more creepy content. And until next time, sweet screams.